Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I'm going to showcase a 1-bar Oakensoul build for the Magicka Sorcerer, also known as MagSorc. This build is capable of pulling over 91k on the parse dummy. This build is not a solo build and is optimized for group content. I will be using mythics and trial gear, so this is not a super beginner friendly build, but rather more for endgame players who prefer 1-bar builds. Keep in mind that this build is set up with trial gear, but there will be a gear alternative section to mix and match whatever sets you may have access to. With that being said, here's the build. Starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in a Magicka, and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For the race, I'm a High Elf. I think High Elves have some of the best passives for Magicka DPS. For the food, we're going to be opting to run Clockwork Citrus Fillet for any hard content. A cheaper and easier to acquire alternative would be Witch Mother's Potent Brew, and lastly, if you're parsing or need more sustain, then Ghastly Eyeball is always the go-to. For the potions, since we're using Oakensoul, we just opt to use Essence of Magicka. Keep in mind that we do not need to use Essence of Spell Power because Oakensoul provides major sorcery and major prophecy for us, so we can just opt to use that instead. Another good option is using Tri-Stat potions because they'll give us health and stamina as well, so that's another option to consider. So for CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Backstabber, Wrathful Strikes, Deadly Aim, and Master at Arms. If you can't flank the enemy, opt to run Fighting Finesse instead of Backstabber. For the red tree, the only thing you need to worry about is Rejuvenation, and you can slot in whatever you feel is necessary. For the gear, we're going to be running 5 pieces of Pillar Nirn paired with 5 pieces of Whirl of Depths and 1 piece Oakensoul and 1 piece Slime Crawl. So breaking down in the main hand, we have a Pillar Nirn Dagger in Nirnhone with a Flame damage enchant, and the offhand Charge with a Poison damage enchant. For the head, we have 1 piece of Slime Crawl in medium, traded in Divines with a Max Mag enchant. For 1 piece of the body, we have Pillar Nirn. This is going to be in Divines with a Max Mag enchant. For the rest of the body, we have 5 pieces of Whirl of Depths, all traded in Divines with Max Mag enchants. And for the jewelry, we have 2 pieces of Pillar Nirn jewelry, both traded in Bloodthirsty with spell damage enchants. And lastly, the Oakensoul Ring, which is Bloodthirsty with the spell damage enchant as well. So for the skills, we're going to be running Daedric Prey, Crystal Fragments, Mage's Wrath, Volatile Familiar, Twilight Tormentor, and Greater Storm Atronach. As far as the rotation goes, just keep up Daedric Prey as best as possible, paired with Volatile Familiar, and always use your Crystal Fragments when they proc. And when you don't have a dot to recast, just keep spamming your Crystal Fragments, and then whenever your ultimate Greater Storm Atronach is ready, just drop that. And at 20%, instead of using Crystal Fragments as your spammable, swap to Mage's Wrath, but always prioritize your proc Crystal Frags, and you should be good to go. So closing thoughts, first up, if you want to stay at range, you can drop the daggers and go Pillar Nirn Inferno Staff. Poisoned or Flame damage enchant, either would work just fine, and the trait would probably be Precise. As far as your flex spots go, you can drop Mage's Wrath for another skill if you need it, but another good option is you can always morph your Twilight Tormentor into Matriarch for a super strong heal. So for gear alternatives, instead of running Whirl and Pillar, you can opt to run different sets. Some good sets would be Bosse is still good if you can control your Magicka. Sororia is really strong still if you don't mind being semi-stationary. Advancing Yokeda can work if you're using daggers. Coral Riptide and Reliquin for a hybrid build wouldn't be a bad idea either. If you are going to opt to use Coral Riptide, you're going to have to figure out a way to burn your stamina, which may be possible on some builds but not on others. Aegis Caller is also a really good AoE set. It's not as hard hitting as Reliquin, but it is still a good option. And lastly, if you want a super budget build, then Order's Wrath and Julianos would be a perfect fit. And that wraps up the build explanation section of this portion. As always, thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Or better yet, come join our Discord. Link is in the description. As a reminder, if this video helped in any way, please help the channel grow by subscribing and liking the video. I will also have a written guide in the description for those who would prefer that. And lastly, I've also started a channel membership for those who like to go the extra step to help support me so I can focus on more content creation. And as always, feel free to stick around for the attached parse. If not, have a good day and see you in the next one.